What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trading Decoded, and I decided to make a quick video tonight. It is not SPY related per se. It is trading related, obviously, but it is basically a question that I am asked at least 5 times a day. So I am going to go ahead and make a quick video of it, and then I won't get asked anymore. And what it's pertaining to is how I set up my TradingView chart to be so clean. So I'm going to go ahead and launch TradingView. And this is pretty much what it looks like by default, which hurts my face. So immediately, the very first thing that I do is I go ahead and change it with the hamburger menu up here to dark color theme. All right, that in and of itself is infinitely better, okay? But I still don't like not having a ultra black background. I don't like the grid lines, and all that fun stuff. So we're just going to go through real quick and show you what settings that I change under your chart settings button over here. We'll start with symbol. Really the only thing that I keep on here is these three. I don't use the last price line, which basically just shows you the last price that the stock is at the moment. So as that moves up and down this chart here, so too will that line. If it's moving down, it's a red line. If it's moving up, it's a green line. It gets in my way because I do all support and resistance lines, and I don't like it to see it there. So I turn that off. Excuse me. Pre and post market price line, I don't use that either. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I don't care to have that. I do change this to extended trading hours so I could see pre-market and after hours. All right. And if you want to change the color of these, you can do that here. Okay. I leave it default, but I'll probably end up making them a little darker so that you guys could see them in the videos a little easier, because I have had some people complain about it. Outside of that, that's all I do in this particular settings. And then I go over here to the status line, and I leave on symbol for description, which basically changes right up here in this corner what you see. Okay. Mine says description, which gives you the full Spider, S&P 500 ETF trust. You could just make it the ticker, which just says SPY, and ticker and description gives you SPY, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't really matter. I try and minimize as much on the screen as I can. So for me, that's how I do it. I leave the OHLC values on. That is the open, high, low, and close values that you see right up in here. For whatever candle you're hovering over, and if it's a chart that's playing out in real time, those numbers will be displayed there. The bar change values, it's basically just telling you, which I also leave on, how much up or down the bar itself is moved in that particular candle. Okay, if you could see up there as I turn it on and off, it tells you. Volume, I don't use volume, but you could see it there if you want to leave it on. I keep the indicator titles on because they show up over here. So if you had other indicators, you would see the titles for them, the name of them. Indicator values, again, is just reiterating the information over here where your indicator list would normally be. I leave it on, but I don't have really many indicators on. And background, I leave the way it is. Now we go to scales. Scale, I basically just I don't change anything here, I don't think. I turn off indicators and financial value labels. That is down here. You can't even barely see it anyway, but I don't keep them on. I turn them off. No overlapping labels. That's good if you have a bunch of lines or price points or anything over here. So for example, I've got that there. If SPY moved down, you would still see this number in its entirety, even though SPY's price, this tag is on it. It will just move it down and move it out of the way. The line doesn't move, but the value itself does. So you could see what that value is of that line at all times. So I keep that on there. And then plus button, not really even sure what that does. I'm turning it on and off and I'm not seeing anything change, so you can leave it on or off. Countdown to bar close. You're not going to see that right now, but if you're on a 1 minute chart, for example, where SPY is currently trading, you will see a countdown timer for each candle, meaning how many, before it closes and moves on to the next candle. I like to see that, so I leave that on there. Everything else I just leave the way it is. And then I go to appearance, and this is where most of the changes actually happen. So the very first thing that I do is I change this to solid from a gradient, and then I change this to black. Okay, right off the bat, to me, it's much nicer. Then I go into my vertical lines. I just change the opacity to 0 on them, and then I change the opacity to these ones to 0. All right. And if you want to use session breaks, which is basically where the start of the first day is in the previous day, these vertical dotted lines here between days, if you don't have your pre-market stuff on, you can, it's a lot easier to see where the day breaks are, which is what that is. Okay. So for me, I don't use those because I have session breaks. I know the difference between pre-market and after hours from the previous day. It's 2 different colors. I leave my scale text at 12. My scale lines stays the same. Crosshairs, if you want to change the color of your crosshairs, I don't know what the default is, but you can make them white or gray or, some crazy color. I use a neutral grayish color. It works well for me. The watermark. The watermark is where is it? How come I don't see it? Oh, that's right there. That's the ticker information for what you're trading. Whatever you have on the chart, you'll see change there. So for example, if I go to VTI, if I go to Qs, you can see that. So that's that. I don't care about that. I don't see it. I could see it all over the place. I don't need to see it on the chart as well. So that's off. And basically it. I don't change anything else in here. And then when I'm done with that, I will go in here and say save as and name it something that you can go to. And if you ever want to load that up, you can go onto this little thing here and then load chart layout. And, I changed mine to trading. I don't know why that's on there. Shouldn't be. But that's how you do that. Now, as far as getting different time frames up here on your bar, I only use the 1, 3, and 5. If I need to see longer out, I'll just manually pick it from the list. But for the ones that you do use, you could just click these little stars here and it shows up there. So they just become quick sets. And again, for me, I'm using the 1, the 3, and the 5. So I don't ever add more than that to there. Here, same thing. If you use multiple types of candles, you could just, favorite them and they will show up here. So if you want to switch candle styles quick, right there. Indicators. I favorite my indicators, and as I want them, I put them on there. And if I want to see them, obviously I could just turn them on with, click of a button. For me, I don't use them very often. Every once in a while, I'll throw my pivots on there. But outside of that, I'm just drawing support and resistance lines throughout the day as they present themselves. And that's pretty much it. The only other change that I make, or thing that I changed versus the way it comes, is right here. My watch list, which I'll share a link to so you could just import it if you want, is real simple. Obviously SPY, because that's all I trade. I keep VTI on here because that's the shares that I buy in my kids' Roth IRA accounts. So I keep an eye on that. So when it gets cheap, I can average down or whatever. I keep the Qs up here because Qs and SPYs, well, the correlation's pretty good. So if Qs are dumping, then a lot of times SPY is going to follow and vice versa. And then the only other one that's on here that's important to me, obviously, are two of them, is the ADD, which is the advance and decline chart, which look at this waterfall from Friday. So basically, what this tells you is how many stocks are trading above or below where they opened at. Okay, so all the way up to here, you had the majority of the market trading at or above where it opened at. Okay, and then you had this massive drop of hell, and that's just a big sell-off. You know, we had a rough day on Friday, and then you come down here and you could see that, you know, when it says minus 1,874, that's how many of the stocks are now trading below where they opened. Okay, which would tell you that the market is selling off. Okay, you don't really want to be going long on anything, whether it's puts or shorting a stock or whatever. If this number is between 1,800 and 2,000, that's bad. You don't want to bet against that. Okay. Likewise, when you're in the upper tiers, between 1,800 and 2,000 to the plus side, don't try and time the bottom or it's the top that you're going to catch a put. Don't do that. Okay. Use this thing sparingly. Don't use it as a definitive thing, but it gives you an overall quick picture of what's going on in the S&P 500. Okay. We won't get too deep into that. And the other thing that I have in my watch list is the VIX. I don't really open the chart to see the chart. I could just see the numbers here. So for me, that's it. And then the rest of these are the top 10 most heavily weighted stocks in the S&P 500. So what I use this for is if I see that the majority of these things are selling off, very oftentimes the SPY is doing the same thing. Likewise, you could start to see them turn green a little bit at a time. That'll tell you that maybe the drop's slowing down and possibly we're going to come back up. Okay. Like I said, we're not doing a training video on trading right now, but that's why I have what I have in there. The only other thing that I turn on here is I do turn on my extended hours, because that right here just tells you what we closed at or what we're at during the trading day. In pre-market, these numbers will not change if you don't have until the market opens. So I want to see what's happening in the extended hours. And here in pre-market, you'll see if things are up or down in this list. Clearly the market's closed right now, so we don't get to see that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and copy a link to this list so that if anybody wants it, they can take it. It'll be linked in the description below. Again, sorry this wasn't SPY related, but it is going to answer the question of a lot of people that ask me all the time about how do I make my charts so clean? Well, here it is. Outside of that, I thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. You're blowing me away with the amount of support you guys are giving me. You're literally showing me that the possibility of a dream of mine coming true is actually within reach now, and it's amazing. So thank you all so much. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment. Every single one of you know that I answer every single one of your comments. Yep. And I don't get many questions, but I answer everybody. So go ahead. Oh, and if you want to try TradingView, there is a link in the description. It's a referral link. So if you do use it and you end up getting a paid plan, we'll both get credit towards those plans. And, it helps both of us. Otherwise, we have a link to our Discord down below and a link to the Patreon page. If you guys want to support me and help me get out of the 9-to-5 daily grind, well, that's how you can do it. Other than that, you all have a good night. I'll see you in the next one. I love you. See you.